episode 14 already. And we've got a special guest again. Hopefully he's as interesting as Seamus and Kieran. I have my doubts, but we'll find out. So this podcast, Matt, is brought to you by the Endurance Training Hub. That is my new virtual coaching platform. Find out more at www.pacoaching.tv. Everything you could want for training for endurance in one place. Matt, you checked it out yesterday. What did you think?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Like everything's there, and I'm like, oh, I might have to steal some of this information for my own site.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But it's pretty exciting to have our first sponsored episode. I think that's pretty exciting. We're 14 deep. Like we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna make bank, we've got to get those sponsors. So might as well sponsor ourselves.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
No problem. No problem.
What's been going on, William?
Another marathon, another weekend, another marathon.
Another week, anher marathon, as you do.
It didn't go so well, you know. It was definitely challenging, and I wouldn't recommend 2 in 2 weeks, but I wanted to see how it would go. And the roller coaster of endurance sport was in full effect for that race. It was like, actually, Sam put up a good post about his experience of the World Cup cross country. But it's like you get started, and I was like, okay, this isn't so bad. Like I think I could still PB here. And then it was like, oh no way, this is not going to go well. And then it was like, actually, I could be on here. This is all right. This is good. And then it was like the reality set in that I'd run a marathon 2 weeks ago, and then it was just an absolute struggle.
Yeah. Okay. How'd your legs feel then?
Yeah. Just so heavy, so dead.
Oh, yeah. One of those days.
Yeah. So, I mean, I still, like, again, it wasn't a horrible event. Like I did 250 for 5th place. So, you know, hometown.
Okay. So
it's pretty cool.
That's good. You're on the American podium, so we'll chalk that up as a win, pretty much.
I think I got an age group podium.
Oh, cool.
As well. Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
I think that just scraped into that 30 to 39.
Oh, right. You're in the old guys now. Yeah.
Yeah. Just Matthew. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
And cool. With you, you'll be almost exiting that age group.
Yeah. Yeah. Give me another 10 years, and I'll be there. Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Matt? Where are you?
I am in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, in the United States. I just flew in. I got here on Sunday, and as you know, that's not a very fun flight. But I'm here, and I've been riding every day, rode in the morning, mountain bike in the afternoon, feeling tired already, and it's awesome. Just loving my old roads, and it's just been super fun and great weather. Love it.
All right, that sounds pretty cool. It's been good weather here in New Zealand as well. Just FYI.
Yeah. I don't believe you. It's winter. That's why I left. That's why I left for this period. So.
All right. And so why are you over there?
Yeah, so I brought one of my athletes that I coach, Caleb, and we're going to go do some junior World Cups and then some local races. And he's just going to do some training ahead of the World Champs that are in August.
In snowshoe?
No, the World Champs will be in Mont Saint Anne in Canada.
What? I thought they were snowshoe.
Snowshoe's the last World Cup this year.
Ah, right.
Yep. So we'll go up and we'll do those races in Canada. It's about an 8-hour drive. We'll stay up there for about 10 days. He'll get in a couple of races on the same kind of terrain that the World Champs will be in, and it'll be good to like get used to the different terrain, the weather, because it's super hot and humid, and just another chance to get some UCI points.
Cool.
And so more UCI points, and you get a better starting position, as we talked about in our cross country episode. And it'll just be a fun trip.
Yeah. Now, that's pretty much going to lead us straight into our guest talking about those starting positions in cross country and mountain biking. Welcome, Sam Shaw, the coolest kid on 2 wheels from Rotorua, New Zealand. How are you, Sam? Where are you?
Hey guys, good to be here. I'm good, thank you. Just in fried chicken shellfin if you're Kiwi, or fried shellfin if you're from Germany.
I think they
And,
call it Friedrichshafen.
nah, fried chicken shellfin Filsen.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
it.
The land of Eurobike. Why are you there?
Good mates actually. I made kind of in Eurobike last year. He's just a local, and he kind of invited us over, but never went. And now it's a year later, and just crashing at his house for a couple of days before cruising up to Czech Republic.
Cool. So first off, a lot of people won't know who you are.
I
No.
don't think that's safe to say. I think it's safe to say that a lot of people know Sam Shaw.
Okay,
Like
if you ride bikes in New Zealand, you know Sam Shaw for sure.
But I will also
maybe.
say if you ride bikes in the eastern USA, you know Sam Shaw.
Yeah, from the two races. Yep, I know all Matt's mates.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
So
get
you leave
along.
quite an impression wherever you go.
The moderately all right guy on two wheels sometimes.
He's gonna do that thing where he's really modest. And since I've been in America for like 4 days, I've realized quite quickly that that doesn't happen over here, right? So what we're gonna try and do is over this next 5 hours is get Sam Shaw to like really open up about himself and like basically tell us why he's so good, right? And how he can be so cool while being so good.
Okay, so
I think it's going to take some grinding to like really get him to open up, though.
So first off, Will, if I was going to introduce Sam Shaw, I guess I'd say, well, he's an incredible mountain biker on pretty much most forms of mountain biking. He's just raced the first race of the World Cup series, so the pinnacle of cross-country mountain biking, while also competing in the pinnacle of enduro mountain bike riding. He hails from Rotorua, New Zealand. Has lived with both Matt and I while he was studying for his degree, which he passed, and has raced on the World Cup circuit previously before getting burnt out, and now I think has a lot more casual approach to training and racing.
Can
Matt,
I add to that?
Yeah. How would you introduce Sam?
So I would also add that he did beat you in a running race at one time.
Oh, I did too.
So we won't forget about that. He did have a broken arm as well. So
and he had been out on the town in Wellington. We had to pick him up from the side of the road.
Yeah.
A bad start to a good friendship, maybe.
That's the best start. But I will also add that Sam Shaw has been struck by lightning not once, but twice. And I know at least one is real because I was there.
Yeah, well, you should have been at the second one. I mean, it was good. It was probably it was louder than the first one, but it's probably because I was sitting in a place where it could echo better. But it's still just as scary. Except I couldn't run anywhere this time. So I was already in a safe place.
Were you in a cave by chance?
Yeah. I was in my house. The house got struck by lightning, not me.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. No one's going to believe these stories, so we won't get into them. But I will say that they are true.
I will say they had to believe me for the house one because all the electricity and all the circuits were destroyed.
Oh boy. Sounds a bit crazy.
So the other one, I don't really believe you for the first one, but the second one happened.
Yeah, we'll save those stories for another day, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a good introduction of Sam Shaw.
All right. So, Sam, what are your plans for this year?
Wait, can we have Sam introduce himself?
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is what we think about Sam.
I don't know about self-introductions, though.
You got it, dude. How would you describe yourself?
I feel like you summed it up pretty well. My name's Sam. I'm from Rotorua. I really like to ride mountain bikes, so that's why I like to ride every discipline because It's pretty fun, just getting amongst everything. And I like to drink craft beer, and have a mustache.
And a mullet.
Yeah, and a mullet. Should I bring it out for the interview?
Most people are going to be listening to this just via audio, so they can't see
That
your
means you
mullet.
have to describe the mullet. I'd say it's 1/2 meter and luscious. If I had to describe it.
Who's that? If I permed my hair properly, it'll look like Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah, or
Accurate,
it's more
also
looking like
accurate.
Joe Dirt at the moment.
Yeah, I really want some sideburns, so it'll be like a straight Joe Dirt styles.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Sam,
Yeah.
why don't you tell us how you got your start on two wheels? Like, take us
Yeah.
way back to when you were born in 1992. Was it 92?
Yeah, man.
Okay. Take us back to 92 and tell us what was going down.
I was like 0 back then, and I wasn't up to much. I was just like drinking milk, hangovers from all the milk. I'd sleep most of the time, and every now and then I'd be upset. Anyway,
Not much has changed.
It's pretty similar. Anyway, probably fast forward to like 8 would have been probably when I had my first kind of riding experience. Well, mum and dad were just starting the business, so me and my sister shared everything. So I was always wearing girls' clothes, which is pretty mean in my opinion. And I got mum and dad's clothes every now and then. And so I got my sister's bikes as well. And I think the first good memory I have was biking with my mum and to no hand. They could do that. I could barely get off trainer wheels. And then pretty much just going through like a year and then getting to no hands. Anyway, that took me to like 9. And then 9, I did my first race ever. And did last by like probably like a lap. Like the second to last dude pretty much came past me as well. And so I was like, biking sucks. And then I stopped for ages and then went to high school, and that's where I made some good mates, and we just went after school to like the dirt jumps, and then it was really fun. And then forward to now, and just combine like enjoying the fitness side of it with the fun side, like doing dirt jumps, doing a bit of downhill, and yeah, just enjoying all aspects of it.
Okay. So when did you?
A long story.
No, that was a very short story actually. When did you do your first proper race and realize that you were pretty good?
I think when I was 15, I did it would have been 14. I did an under 15 race. My mum used to, well, she still does. Mum races competitively in the cross country mountain bike scene, and so when I was growing up, I would follow her around and watch most of the races. And then when I was 14, I gave one of the national series races in New Zealand a go, the cross country national series, and I'd been riding with my parents a bit down south, and I think I ended up coming around 5th. And it felt really good to not be last and be competing, and like the pain wasn't sore. It was like so that was probably my first real race. And then I also raced downhill at the same time, but I was way worse at downhill, but I liked it way more.
So was this like in the days when like everyone kind of rode the same bike for everything? So you would have been like 26er hardtail?
Nah, dog. I had an old school giant XTC LE, which I probably had for like 3 years. And then for downhill, I had a giant STP1.
A dirt
with
jump
flat-
bike.
Yeah, dog.
Okay. Cool.
So that was my first downhill bike, and I remember my parents got me back in the day. You could get a season pass for South Star shuttles, so it was like $100 for as many laps as you like, all through 6 months of the year. And so every weekend,
So that's in the Rotorua Redwoods.
yeah, back home in Rotorua, we have a shuttle service called South Star, and it's a lot more expensive now, but back then it was $100 for half a year for as many runs as you could fit in. So every single weekend or in the holidays, I'd just be on the bus pretty much sleeping up the hill and then just doing laps all day.
Okay, so nothing's changed.
No, not really. I still enjoy my sleep on the shuttle. There's so many people now, but if you ever get on like a chairlift by yourself, it's quite nice just to chill out.
Yeah, I'm constantly like looking down and like thinking, okay, if I had to jump, where would I jump? You know, if you like got stuck. Like, okay, well, actually, if we get stuck right now, I'm not gonna make it. But if we get stuck here, I'm gonna make it. So stop. But usually we're pretty safe. No sleeping for me though.
Maybe that's like an American way of seeing it on the chair. I don't know. Well,
Yeah, Kiwis would definitely fall asleep.
Yeah.
And then when I'm overseas, like when I was on the chairlift, like in the States, I'm just like, is that a beer? Is that a beer?
Yeah, this is true.
Like I was just constantly looking for beers.
I'd still sleep on those ones.
Beers?
Bears.
Beers. Like barefoot.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I do sleep on the ones in Canada too, but then, every now and then you spend like one uplift looking and you'll see like 3 beers. So I guess you miss a bit, but it's still good.
Yeah, true. Okay, so we're talking, so when you're 14, what year was that? When you had your first like kind of good race and you're like, oh yeah, okay, this could be a thing.
Oh, like 12 years ago? What year we're in 2019? I shouldn't have said that because now I'm going to bad math. Like 2007?
6 or 7, yeah.
Yeah. 2006, actually, that was important. 2006 was the UCI Mountain Bike World Cup in Rotorua.
That was the World Champs, wasn't it? In 2006.
Yeah, World Champs. And unfortunately, I didn't watch any of the cross-country racing, but I watched every single downhill race. Even got Sam Hill's signature. Yeah. Back then, like Mongoose had a team too. I don't know.
Those Mongoose bikes were so cool, man.
They were pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really wanted one.
I had at one stage I had a Mongoose Black Diamond triple downhill bike.
Oh wow!
Which it seemed real sick, but it was a horrible bike. Like the forks, if you ever did a big jump, the forks just blew up every time, like 100% fail rate. So like I'd have the option at the top of the shuttle, be like, I'll hit the jump and break my forks, or I'll just go around it. But I pretty much just hit it every time and never had my forks. Anyway, so we had the world champs. Hey, yeah, you go.
Yeah, well, take us beyond the world champs, because it sounds to me like it was only a few years after that where like you got really good.
Well, world champs. Right now, I got Sam Hill's signature, which is me.
Yeah,
anyway, I still got that. And I can't remember who strived for Mongoose, but I got his signature too, along with Steve Peace.
Was it maybe Eric Carter?
Yeah, it was. I went riding with him.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah, and I dislocated my shoulder because I sent a big jump that I'd never hit before. But yeah, that was cool. He was like, "Yo, fist bumps for like sending it." Anyway, 14. Yeah, maybe 16. I was starting. So 2 years later, after that, then I decided that downhill was really boring because you had to wait in the shuttle line for a really long time. but you could still send all the tracks on your cross country bike anyway. You know, because we grew up just doing downhill on hardtails, so it's pretty much the same thing. And so I was like, well, cross country is mean because, you know, you feel good for being fit all the time, and you can still, apart from racing, you can still go do all the downhill tracks and still have a mean time, and you don't have to wait for any shuttles ever. And then, yeah, when I was 16, I started doing the full series, the full national series in New Zealand, and there was this guy, Jeffrey McDowell, who was like the fastest at the time, and he'd always beat me by like 2 or 3 minutes without a doubt. And then one race, I gave him a race and I beat him, and then that was pretty much this, you know, that classic like spark, like, oh yeah, I could do this. If I get everything right, then it's like even more fun to like have a good race with your opponent.
So that kind of set it off then, didn't it?
Pretty much. And then that just led into finding people to race. Like, I was never consistently the best, or I'd have like little glimpses of hope where I think my first ever elite race in New Zealand, I won the national series against Mikey Northcott, which I don't think anyone was expecting. I wasn't expecting either. And then I would just get on the podium, but never actually win one again.
So you won the elite men's race.
Yeah.
How old were you?
Yeah, my first one ever when I was like 18.
Yeah.
And then they kind of stopped doing them. So New Zealand's like not the best place for cross country, even though we've got Anton Cooper and Sam Gaze, and then we had really good female talent come through, and they always come through and then kind of disappear a little bit. But like the actual scene itself is nothing in comparison to Europe.
Why do you think that is? Because they're like if you go to any town in New Zealand, there's gonna, like, if there's a big enough population, there's gonna be some really well maintained mountain bike trails, and there's gonna be like it's gonna be full of mountain bikers. But why do you think like the race scene maybe isn't maybe what it could be?
I just don't think anyone can be bothered.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's something to do with our culture. Like, you know, you just get Americans are going to be like, yeah, I was 5th place in the men's over 100 kg 30 to 59 age group full suspension category. Woo! And then Kiwis are like, well, if I can't win, I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm not going to pay to ride on my home trails to get not first.
That's exactly what everyone says. They're like,
yeah,
well, why would I pay to not have a fun, you know, like, because a lot of people don't see cross country as fun. So like, why would I pay to bust my guts for an hour and a half and not even enjoy it? So I think that's the main reason. And then we don't really gloat or anything. Like, no one may claim that they won a race or anything. So
and it's like the pathway isn't there. Like and you know, if you qualify for something, Matt, you know exactly Coach and Caleb, you've taken him over to the US. Like, no one's he's paying for that. Like, the pathway's not there. It's like, oh, cool, you're really good. Better save up your money and pay for yourself to go and race real people in Europe.
Yeah. But we have a really good track team, Will. A really good one.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, I hear that a lot, actually, that the New Zealand track team gets a lot of the funding.
So that's track cycling team. Like, my wife, you guys obviously know her. Like, she was for 5 years a professional female cyclist, self-funded in Europe on some teams. And, you know, her advice is like, wouldn't recommend it. You know, like that's what's trickling down to the younger kids. Like, oh, definitely don't go to Europe. Like, try cut your teeth in America first, but otherwise, like,
Yeah,
you're not going to make
that's true.
money. So if that's something that of concern, you should get a job. And yeah, like that's kind of, it's so
Yeah.
expensive. Like accessibility isn't like it is in the States and stuff. Like we've got to try and import stuff all the way to the bottom of the southern hemisphere.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that like the thing that really blows my mind is that the talent in New Zealand is incredible. Like it's so deep that there's so many riders that are really, really good. Downhill, cross country, enduro, everything. And I think in any country, like if it's going to be a lot of it's going to be self-supported, like getting to, another continent to race. But it's just so crazy that such a small country has so many good mountain bikers.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I feel like the volume of good riders comes from the new discipline, enduro. Just because I think that's the main reason. Like it's for us, it's what we enjoy doing. So for a classic Kiwi mountain biker, they're going to enjoy sending down hills, doing some jumps, doing some mean braps or something like that with some mates. The whole cross country thing doesn't really appeal. Whereas this enduro scenes come along, and you still have to be really fit to race enduro well. And I don't think people realize how fit they are. From biking for like 4 hours a day just because they're having fun. And then they'll look at a cross country thing and go, nah, like I'd rather just do some laps with the boys or the girls, whatever.
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because
Yeah.
you've posted some really good cross country results this year. Sam.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay,
Thanks,
so
Matt.
since you won't say it, I'll just say it. You were third at the Elite National Championships in cross country. Anton Cooper won, so everyone would know Anton Cooper. He's one of the best in the world. You won the North Island cross country champs.
Oh yeah.
You were second in the Taupo. It's like a marathon.
Hooker challenge.
Yep, a long mountain bike race. But I think everyone.
And I think you're second in the Waka 100 as well. Where?
Mate's a third in that one.
Oh yeah.
But I'm still really happy with it.
So I think everyone has this perception of Sam Shaw that Sam Shaw doesn't train. Is that like a bit of like smoke and mirrors kind of thing?
No, so this is something I'm quite interested. This will be a good discussion because, like, Matt and I, like, we're both PhD sports scientists, like, and we're all about like this whole podcast is about how to train more efficiently, better, use science, and like, you lived with us, yet you're the anti performance advantage podcast.
Well,
he's like a performance disadvantage.
I'll still stick to the I'd say I'm a classic Kiwi, and I just enjoy the mountain biking. It's something that's just a little bit different, wired differently in my brain, where I like cross country as well. And yeah, I'd say that the proper training aspect is definitely missing. But like I was saying, I feel like we all ride enough. We just need like a little extra. What's the word? Like right at the end of all your fitness, you just put like the right kind of efforts in just before a race. And I feel like that process just helps you. Maybe it didn't do anything in Alpstart, but I was hoping Alpstart would help me. What's it? There's definitely a name. You guys will know this. You do it just before you want to go really fast. Nah.
Tapering?
The type. the type of training. Nah, where you like you do all the long distance stuff, and then you do like the right efforts that help you like hone the speed.
Well, here it is. This might be the Sam Shaw secret. This is unbeknownst to us.
Nah,
You're telling us your secret.
I think my secret is, because I thought about it a bit, because you guys are always talking about it. Mine would be training on instinct.
Okay.
So
well, what does that look like for you then?
Well, so I'll never start a ride and go, I'm gonna do this. Like I have to do a 15-minute warm up, and then the 10-minute effort, 5-minute break, 10-minute effort, at 80%, and then 5 minutes, blah blah. I'll start a ride, usually after work, because I work as well, and then I'll go, oh, I feel tired today. I will just I'll either be tired enough to just go home, or or just do like an hour spin, and then another day I'll go out and I feel like really good. And go, oh, okay, well, this is the perfect day to do. I'll go up a hill as fast as I can, and then try to send it as fast, and hit it like 3 to 6 times, or maybe I'll just do it 2 times, and then I'll be completely poked. I'll go, all right, well, probably time to stop now. And then the next time I do it, I'll do more. Yeah, pretty much. That's how it works in my head.
Yeah,
it's kind of what I do.
Are you riding every day though?
I think that's definitely, I do, but I think that's one of my flaws, is that I should take a day off once a week, probably, at least.
So people are listening to this and they're like, what? How is he racing at a World Cup level?
Well, yeah.
I think it goes a bit deeper than this. I think it goes a bit deeper.
You could probably peel information out of that, for sure.
Yeah, because why don't you tell us?
Yeah.
Like when you were 15 and you started to realize you're fast, and when you were 18 and you were winning a national series, were you doing the same kind of training then, or were you like super focused and like, I'm doing this day, and you had a coach and you're doing massive Ks? Is that how it was when you were younger?
Yeah. Okay. So when I was 16, I decided, well, with my parents' advice too, that was old enough to have. I was now old enough to have a coach, and start a proper training program. And I got this guy, Evan McRae, who was like a really good bloke. He had done some top-notch endurance racing in New Zealand, and he was just good to talk to, and he had a passion for it, which I liked. And he just did it for free too, which was pretty cool. And obviously with his background, he was all about the endurance of it, which was actually pretty good kind of around then, as the races were a bit longer. And so that's when I started having the proper, I was motivated and had a proper race training schedule, and I would do the training every time. Probably, even I'd train for 3 hours before school some days. And then the weekends, it was always a 3-hour ride on Saturday and then a 6-hour ride on Sunday, which is for me now is just seems crazy. But so I went through years of that, I think, until I was from 16 until I was about 20. And he taught me a crazy amount of, actually having a schedule and being dedicated to doing your training. I found I learned a lot from. Also, it was too much for me as well, because I don't just mountain bike. I have a lot of other stuff going on usually. And so that kind of burnt me out. So I was like, maybe I need to change coaches. But always in the back of my head, I had my old ways of wanting to do more is better. And then I got this new coach, Annika Smale, when I turned 20, and she was like the polar opposite of Evan. And she took my training load down to like 10 hours of biking. Just to give you an example, like sometimes with Evan, I would do like 24 hours in a week of bike time. And then she's like, no, 10 hours is like good. She had a Swiss background. She used to race for the Swiss national team. And we would focus more on technique, like pedaling technique, and cadence. Like she didn't want me to have a power meter. She was all about cadence. And that kind of just opened my eyes to a whole new side of training. And my results just got way better. The less I did, the faster I got at cross country. That's where I first cracked a top 30 in under 23 World Cups, which usually I was like at the back of the race if I was at a World Cup. Like I'd race well in New Zealand, but the World Cups were just another level up, which was, I was probably doing too much training for that kind of stuff. And then after Arnica, so I was 21, I still had my old ways of doing too much, so I didn't quite stick to her program, and I got super burnt out. And then I was like, well, maybe the coach life isn't for me, because I like to stick to the program, even if the program is too much for me at the time. And then ever since 21, I've just been doing my own thing. So like I'll just really listen to my body. And I've got all these like old training, all these old effort sessions and stuff. Even Emma O'Connor gave me a good bunch of effort sessions when I was doing a protein bar test thing for her, which I actually did today. I went out today and did an effort session of like 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Anyway, I found that one really good. And so I just have a bunch of efforts in my head, and I'll be like, this one seems like a great idea today. But like, say like last week, I feel like the races right now are a great example of what I do for my training. So like, I raced the Enduro World Series in Madeira literally like last weekend, like 10 days ago. And did the normal, like went to after party and all that. So like Monday and Tuesday, I was completely useless. And I knew I had a World Cup on Sunday after that. But still, I knew I was tired from the race itself, from the Enduro World Series, and
not staying out all night, getting on the piss.
Yeah, and staying up really late, and maybe eating a little bit of shellfish, which I'm allergic to, but that's fine. And then so I knew, like, if I went out and trained, I would have just burnt my body out. Like if I had a training schedule, I would have been like, I have to do this training, and I would have been pooped for Albstadt. So I pretty much just slept until Thursday, which the old Sam would have been like, this is way too much stress. There's a World Cup on Sunday. There's no way you can sleep until Thursday and still hope to do all right. And then Friday came, and I went for like my first kind of proper ride, did some efforts to open the lungs, really short ones, like 10 seconds. And then I just did the same again on Saturday, because I knew I hadn't done the right prep. For sure, I'd done terrible prep. So I just kept the efforts really short, like 10 seconds, just to make sure that, the lungs were open a little bit at least. And then I did better in the race than I was expecting in Albstadt, because it's so steep. It's like and there's like no technical areas to catch up to people, or for me to take a break like I usually do. Then pretty much since then, I've been like, I saw that as an opportunity to do like a full effort session for Nove Mesto, which was kind of my real goal all along. And then I just had a really good recovery since then, whereas usually I would feel like I did last weekend. And feel like useless, but now I just feel like I could race tomorrow. So now this week I'll like really focus on good recovery and really like dedicated sessions to boost my chances. Yeah.
So I'm listening to what you're saying, and it doesn't maybe sound like proper training. But then if you dig a little deeper into what you're actually doing, it's like almost like you're training properly without actually like thinking you're training properly. Because what do? You ride pretty much every day. And you don't go hard too often. When you go to these enduros, you're doing pretty big days. So you're doing quite a lot of volume, quite a lot of high volume. And if you have 2 days of practice and then 2 days of racing, that you don't need to go hard on those 2 days of practice. And then when you're going hard in the race, it's not for very long. You're recovering. And when you're doing the really hard stuff, you're not doing a whole lot of other stuff. It sounds actually pretty good.
Yeah. I'd agree with you there. Like, you're definitely right, but I just don't analyze it really. Like maybe at the time, like I was saying with the whole instinct thing, I'd be like, this is good. Like I'm doing an 8-minute effort now down this track, and then I'll just chill out on the climb to the next stage. Yeah, but then I guess I just kind of forget about it.
Yeah, so you would have spent quite a few years like training properly, and then you just like you were doing a lot, and like that set you up pretty well to be able to do this like casual kind of not so trainy kind of training thing, and then race a lot and have a bit of fun.
Yeah, well, if it's not fun, I wouldn't do it. There's no way, because I never understand. When people are like, "Oh, their race was so shit," or like, "I don't enjoy this," I'm like, "Well, why do you do it? Like, you could just go and surf at the beach, or I don't know, watch a movie you enjoy, whatever else you like doing that's actually fun." Yeah, pretty much keep it like that.
What do you think, Will?
Yeah, it's just so different. Like I'm not like that. I've clicked on something, and for some reason it doesn't change our screens anymore. I don't know what I did.
No, I think, did Matt click on it, or no?
No, I clicked on it. Anyway, so for me, yeah, it's like that's because I can, if I'm looking at it, if I'm trying to analyze it, which I do, like that's just who I am. That it makes sense, like your sort of progression through. You did like way too much, under Evan, and then Arnica, like you almost did a very large training cycle of like years of base training, which is probably like too much, and then you came into like the high intensity training, which I find which is worked for you and it works for most people, and I find it really annoying. And when they do these research studies and they're like, oh, HIIT training, high intensity interval training, that's just incredible. Look, we compared base training versus high intensity interval training, and of course, like high intensity interval training works. Like it's going to make you a better athlete, especially when you're comparing it to base training. But it's like, how does that work chronically? And that's like over years. You can't just do high intensity training, otherwise you won't get any fitter. You'll just plateau or maybe get burnt out. But anyway, so like you got through that, and and that was awesome. And then you got to the point where you're like, I think like a lot of what you've gone through is like natural progression of being coached. It's like, oh yeah, you've learned your stuff, and you think, actually, I could probably do it myself, and you've gone through that. And now I'm just like listening to it, being like, you've almost got it, but you just need someone to look over it to go like, actually, sometimes it is important to train when you're tired because you need to overreach. And, just doing intervals when you feel good, like, that's not sometimes the best time to do them and all of that kind of stuff. But otherwise,
Yeah.
like it makes it works for you. Like I've lived with you. I know what kind of character you are. Trying to tell you to do something is probably not going to be the best way to get you to do it.
Well, actually, I did have another coach last year, Adrian Armstrong, who pretty much tried to do, how you're looking at it, and you're like, he just needs someone to just like help it just get that little bit further. And I think he tried really hard to like, because I tell him everything that I do, and then he'd kind of like try and tell me what to do, except I hadn't been coached for so long. This is why, because I probably had the opportunity to have old mountain bike PhD help me. But
the guy with the PhD in mountain biking and a coaching business.
That one, I hear he's really good. But
the one that lived with you.
Yeah,
and got struck by lightning with you.
The guy who coaches the 5-time American champion.
I felt like he would have got really frustrated because Adrian gave me all this training and I just never did it. I was just like, nah, I don't feel like it. So like if this PhD guy was like, yeah, I'm just spending all this time just making you this program, and like I've looked at what you've been doing and this would be the best thing to do, and then I just send them back this list of things that was nothing that he told me what to do. Felt like it definitely confused Adrian a lot. But maybe because it's good to work with coaches for like years and years, because I find, if you do that, you find a really good balance of, they know, like you just find out that I was really annoying, but then you'd find out that I liked doing certain things, especially also.
Yeah, I think that's right. I would agree with you there. Time is definitely a benefit between a coach and athlete.
But unfortunately, my sponsorship deal ended, who was paying for my coach at the time. And yeah, anyway, there's no way I could afford to pay for a coach and try to save up to go overseas again. So now I'm coach free again. Unless there's any mad deals out there,
We'll have to see if we know anybody.
But yeah, definitely. I had one recently, and I felt like I'd had enough time away from a coach that I probably needed more than one season to be coached again. It's like turning into an old man where you just have your own ways.
Yeah. I think that's pretty standard. I think from my experience, like I've dealt with plenty of difficult athletes, and like it's not that they're like being a pain in the butt. It's like there's things that they're particular about, and like they come to me or they go to Will, and they're already good. And if you try and totally change their life, it's not going to go over well. So that's why like the coach athlete kind of thing needs to be like more of a teamwork thing.
Yeah,
where the coach is working with the athlete, trying to figure out what's going to work for the athlete.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that. Everyone's different for sure.
Yeah, and I think that is a bit of a reservation of people going to coaches. Like, oh well, I like to do this, and I know they're like this, and so that means I can't do what I want to do anymore.
Yeah.
So they then they never get a coach because they think like, or they've had a bad experience and they think that's what everyone's like.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like in my case, I'm just very happy doing what I'm doing.
So if we get off of us sort of bantering you about trying to like completely disregard our whole life business, but that's fine. Uh, um, what are your goals now moving forward? Do you have some, or no? You don't care about goals either.
No. Goals are definitely. No, I definitely agree with you guys because
I know.
probably
I'm just being a dick.
I've probably stolen information off you guys over years of living with you, which has helped me coach myself somewhat, kind of all right. You know, all the questions while you're cooking dinner. I'm just like, oh, so how do you increase your endurance without doing much endurance? Anyway, um, goals are like what drives you. If you don't have a goal, then you know, you just turn up to a race and you probably wouldn't have done any. You wouldn't have a vision of doing anything. You'd just be underprepared probably. So I had a goal for Ulstart for it sounds really bad, but for 3 laps, not getting lapped out.
So the best way to sort of get a background on World Cup cross country, like we did a podcast on it, or episode maybe 3 or 4, but just give us a background like of cross country World Cup racing and how hard it is to get in there.
Yeah, because you're one of the best in New Zealand, right? And then you go over to Europe. What happens?
Yeah, well, like I was telling my wife, she was like, oh, it doesn't sound that good. And I was like, yeah, well, you know, in nationals, you were what, 3 minutes behind Anton and you had a flat tire.
I was a bit further than that. I probably could have been 3 or 4 minutes without the flat tire.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, that's what I remembered from it. Like, you know, but he can finish the race and you can't even finish a World Cup. Yet, like, you're not that much behind him.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people, I found this out last year. A lot of people don't understand how hard it is to race at a World Cup, especially if you're ranked lowly in the UCI points. So you pretty much, there's usually like a minimum of 120 riders. And then all you've got to pretty much imagine is you all start at the same time and you all go into a single track, which is like in the name, it's for like one rider at a time, like single trail. And you pretty much all come into the single trail, and if you're ranked lowly, you're at the very back of the field. So this is where I start, and pretty much guys like Nino and Lars Foster and Anton, they're just at the front and they just get a kind of clear track. And even on like one section of trail, you lose, a minute to 2 minutes, not even in a whole lap. Like if you had a clear lap without any traffic, you probably lose like 1 to 2 minutes, or I would. But in the start loop itself, which is 10 minutes for the fast guys or something around there, it'd take me 16 minutes. So straight away, I've lost 6 minutes to the first guy. And then on the second lap, it's pretty much the same story. I'll probably lose like an extra 3 minutes, not fitness induced. So with my fitness not being as quick as them, I'll lose 2 minutes. And then with the traffic as well, I'll lose another 3 minutes. And that's 5 minutes. And that's only 2 laps in. And they're already like 10 minutes ahead. And then from there, there's no traffic, and it's just up to me pretty much. And I'll still lose like, 1 to 2 minutes each lap. And it pretty much just comes to a really quick lapped out process. So it was funny because I count the start loop and Albstart as the lap because it pretty much was. they just missed like one small climb. And so when I got to lap 4, I was like, how is this happening? Because I'd lost so much time. I didn't pass anyone in the start loop. I was still at the very back. And I was just really stoked to get to the 5th lap, and then obviously lapped out. But it just gave like a really good bit of hope for next weekend, where there's way more passing. Yeah, actually, it depends what course you go to as to how well they let you get past everyone. So Alstadt's like one of the worst, for sure. There's not very many places to pass on the single trail, and there's just a whole bunch of road sections which anyone can go fast on the road. Like, it's so hard to pass people there. And then we go to Novo Mesto, which is like, instead of being a single trail, it's like double trail. So there's like 2 options for the single trail. So you can always have an opportunity to pass people, even in the first lap or the second lap. I've had previous races there where I would start on the back row, and then the start loop I would pretty much be on the second row. And I found it really fair if you played your cards right. Whereas the rest are bloody hard.
Have you, after the weekend, the World Cup just been, have you been able to move up a couple rows?
No. So unfortunately, you have to be top 60 in a World Cup to gain any more than 3 UCI points. So three points is like nothing. And anyone past 60 that finishes the race gets these 3 points. So everyone that's going to Novo Mesto with me, we will all be in the exact same starting position. And top 60 is like a really big stretch if you start at the back, but the only thing you can do about that is compete in other UCI sanctioned races that go from like a category style, like category 1, 2, and 3, which represents how many points that they will give, 1 being the most important and 3 being the least. And then there's national champs, which gives you more than a category 1. And then, continental championships, which give you the most. And so if you, in kind of like the off season or in between season, if you go to these races and do well, then you'll move up you'll pretty much just get a better start position at the World Cup. But to do it just racing World Cups is like, you have to be one of the top dogs.
Cool. So cross country is not the only thing you do, and you might actually see yourself more as an enduro guy. So
yeah, definitely.
So tell us a little bit more about those.
Yeah, and is anyone else trying to race 2 World Series level mountain bike events?
Yes, definitely, but not cross country, and not cross country and enduro. But
yeah, well, I guess
really,
like the other thing that makes cross country so incredibly competitive is it's in the Olympics.
Yeah.
So like every single nation, like it's so incredibly multinational as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna bag on downhillers at all. Like, they're super skilled and everything like that, and like a lot of them train really hard. But I feel like it's more possible to not train that hard and be really skilled and turn up to a downhill race and do really well. But if you didn't, or you didn't do much exercise, and then you turned up to a cross country World Cup, like, you can't even keep up with the last guy. Like, the amount of competition there, and like the level of it is crazy. Like you were saying, I came 3rd at national champs, and like I will be at the back of a World Cup, literally racing these guys. Like, the last guys are fast, which is really interesting.
One of my friends that was in the similar position at the World Cups, said that he was dead last, going as hard as he could. He was like the best guy around, and he looked behind him, and there was no one there, and he's going as hard as he possibly could.
So that's the scary thing about these races, because I did that exact thing last year where I just borrowed I borrowed Kenty Gallagher's warm-up bike. So he races downhill, and he had a nice cross-country bike I could borrow, which I used on the day to race at the Val di Sole World Cup last year. And pretty much the same thing. I was coming last, and I was trying so hard to keep up with second to last. It was just like, I just pulled out. Like, I never pull out, but I was just like, cuss this. This is the worst thing ever. Like, this guy in front of me is like the next last person, and I can't even keep up. And it wasn't like I couldn't keep up. Like, he was, by the end of the first lap he was like well gone. And like everyone in New Zealand that knew me was just like, what the heck? Like, we thought that you were going to be like a top 30 dude.
I mean, do they think you're not trying? Do they actually think that, or what do you think?
No, I think it was really good that I did that, because then a lot of people were like, wow, the cross country World Cups are really hard. They were just like, well, if he didn't even want to finish, and I think even now, like, I came 112th in Albstadt, and I think a lot of people would expect more, but for me, I'm like super happy with that. Like, I feel content with that result.
I think that's
a pretty good result. There were 87 people in the first lap.
Yeah,
from memory. I mean, that's a lot of people on one lap.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of fast people racing at one time.
Yeah, and I think that's helping a lot of people back home realize that it's a really intense pace over here.
Yeah.
As well.
So how do you think then your fitness, like, obviously you're really, really fit. How do you think that helps you in the enduros? Because you need to be fit for enduro. And then when you go to those races, obviously we all know that you're really, really skilled. Why don't you?
Yeah, enduros are they're all different games. So fitness for sure like helps, because you want to be cruising, and you want to like feel good the whole day. So enduros, usually you're out for like 4 hours minimum, and 8 hours maximum in a day on your bike, maybe a couple of breaks. And the fitness is like super important there, because then towards the end of the day you still feel fine, like you're still like sick, I'm amped for this last run of the day, and you feel like you did maybe at the start, or whatever, how it doesn't matter. But and then there's the skill part, which I'd say is probably more important than the fitness, because obviously you can go faster and you can save energy while going faster. And I don't lose much energy transferring to stages. It's more in the big effort that you do racing down like an 8-minute track, which doesn't sound like much, but I think that's what makes most people really tired. And then there's the mental side, which I think is super important, where you're at an Enduro World Series with the race, and you want to like do better than you've ever done. But really, like, this is how a lot of people would think, I think, when they race them. And so they do this track, or I do this too, where you would never usually crash or anything. But I think the pressure gets to you a lot, and you just have the crash, or you try going faster than you'd actually usually ride, which then means that you go slower, because you're pedaling in stupid places and you're kind of stiff and just everything like that. So I think enduro is more like 3 things. You have like good fitness, good technique, and a really casual headspace. that knows that you're there to race, but not there to ride like an idiot.
But then how, like, what do you think's holding you back? Like, if anyone's been riding with you, they know your skill level is just world class. But you're not, like, where are you sitting at the moment? Like, I guess your goal is to try get top 30s, right? Top 50s.
Yeah, I'm definitely keen to break that top 30 thing, because I think once you get into that, like, it's kind of like you can just carry on from there. And I feel like in the world where you want to ride as you want to be paid to ride, but that's where you need to be. So that's the whole reason. I don't usually like goals like positions, but if you want to be paid to do this whole gig, then I feel like that's where a lot of people look. For me, I'd say stupid decisions don't help. Along with still working on my headspace, like I'd still race bad because I was nervous, or say like the last one in Madeira, I turned up to the race on Wednesday at midnight, which gave me a day before we started practice, traveling from New Zealand. So, yeah. So I felt like that was a stupid decision, right? Like, obviously I was going to suffer from jet lag and not have a very good lead up to the race. And then I'd still be tired. Well, I was still tired for the race. So the goal for me was to not crash, because there's no point in ruining your bike or yourself right at the start. So I was actually really happy, because I came 55th there, and I was really happy to like be so relaxed, plus being so tired at the same time. And a whole bunch of just not the best race prep. Like, I need to work on enduro being fun, but I still want to take it serious.
Yeah, one of the things, like, especially with downhill, that I find so like incredibly impressive is like these guys, like, you guys are in the start gate and you've got one chance. Like enduro, you've got a couple, you've got a few stages, but like downhill and stuff, it's still like, okay, don't stuff it up. Like in like, I'm just endurance sport, it can be multi-day or huge multi-hour or even like shorter stuff, but it's still like there's no dire mistakes. Like, I'm not gonna trip over and then completely ruin my race. I could get up and keep running. Like, if
Your shoe could come untied, maybe.
yeah, and like, but I could tie it up and I've
Still
lost
win.
and still win. Like,
Forget your muesli bar.
but like, if you crash, you guys are so close together that the guy ahead of you has now 30-second gap. And now the next time you get in the start gate, you're like, shit, I've got to make up 30 seconds.
Well,
And if I don't, I'm going to lose even more time.
I think that's what's, because like it is like that in downhill for sure. But
like downhill, you just get one run, and you could be the last person in the start gate. It's like, you cannot make a mistake.
Yeah, but you
will
can't
not
think
win.
about not making mistakes, and that's when mistakes happen. That's
I know,
why...
but I'm just saying, like, you have all of that pressure to not make a mistake, and you're not allowed thinking about, like, you have to concentrate on riding smooth, even though the win relies on you going as hard as possible in the most technical terrain and not making a mistake.
So I feel like experience is like the biggest thing in that, or maybe just being overly confident, because all you think about is like, yeah, man, like, I've done this before, like ridden this track like, I don't know, 20 times or something. You're like, sick, I've done that. Like, there's no point in thinking about like the one run. Yeah, dude's just like, so like Gwyn, the old Americans, just like a good example. He just does it so many times. Apart from world champ, for some reason he's got like a witch has cursed him or something. But every time he's just like focused. I think he's one of the guys that's just like really confident in himself.
He's American.
he comes across anyway, and I think he's just so confident that you know, it's just like, well, I'm going to have a sick run. Like, I always ride sick, so I'm going to have a sick run, and probably not going to crash, you know, because I'm a sick rider.
I mean, he is a sick rider, but so I think it's probably he's focused probably on the process.
Yeah, but
because controlling what he can control.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like Gwyn's another one. Not Gwyn, Manar, sorry.
Greg Manar.
Greg Manar is the one that he seems more like just going for experience. Like, you know, he's done the track heaps of times and he's comfortable. And with comfortable is also a big part of it. Like, if you're comfortable with where you're at and what you're doing, even like outside of biking, like a lot of factors can come in from everywhere. Like, if everything in your life is going well, then usually you'll just ride really well. Like, you can focus on exactly what you're doing. Unless focusing means that you're shitting your pants and you don't want to crash.
Is that what it's going to take for you to get in that top 30?
I think for me, I just need to gain the confidence, because I definitely have, you know, experience of racing for a while. Like, I started enduro when I was and I've done a lot of single trail riding, so I don't think it's to do with that. Obviously, you could always improve your skill set for sure, but if you just put a good run together, even if you're, say, not as fast as the guy in front, but he's making heaps of mistakes, and you just, you know, have a good run. That's pretty much, I've tried thinking about that one a bit, and then I find when you're not thinking about it is when it goes really well. So, yeah.
I mean, you're a bike rider. You've done it for years and years, just like you said.
Yeah.
Right? So you just got to do what you always do, and you're going to go your fastest. Yeah,
well, hopefully the next one in Canada, like, I won't be turning up stupidly late, and I feel like I'll be quite relaxed. I'm looking forward to that. Whole bunch of good mates. The B-Wookie's coming over.
That's your partner?
Yeah. Real name, Brooke Thompson.
Address. Get at her on Instagram.
Was that at B-Wookie?
Yeah, at B-Wookie.
Yeah, she's got the legit Insta game.
Yeah, I'm catching up. But yeah, she's smashing at the Insta game at the moment.
So you're going to be in a really good headspace, you think, for those next races, and by the sounds of it, that's what you need to do. Yeah,
well, I actually had a really good glimpse last year in Petzan. Yeah, in Slovenia, Austria. It was in 2 countries. For some reason, you know, Enduro World Series, they're like, let's have it in 2 countries in one race. And I had mechanicals at that one, which didn't help my chances, but in between the mechanicals, I had my best stage results ever. And I was just super happy with everything and confident in my riding, like I was riding like I would if it wasn't a race. And
is this by chance the time that you broke your chain and you had your best stage? Was that last year?
When did I? Oh no, that was at NZ Enduro.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't it? I dropped my chain. No, I can't remember. So long ago. I definitely broke my chain last year, but I just can't remember when it was.
I thought when we talked about it, I thought you said it was your best stage ever, and you couldn't even pedal.
Oh no! That was in finale. It was. Nah, I'm confused now.
Too many races. But I will say that Sam Shaw did the original test of coasting versus pedaling for my research,
but-
and he actually went faster coasting than when he was
Yeah,
pedaling.
definitely. I definitely still use that, and I always do ride better when I don't try and sprint out of every corner, unless you know for sure that you're like on a road, because otherwise you just come into the next corner super hot and there's no flow or anything. Anyway, can't
So
remember.
what's the
the
why
one.
in Enduro World Series and World Cups? Like, do you have in the back of the mind you want to go to the Olympics, or what's the goal there?
Cross country.
Yeah.
Cross country is real random. Like I actually just really enjoy cross country. So my goals are all really short term. Like I'm just looking at Nova Mesto at the moment and going like I really want a top 80 at that one, which is just goal because I know that top 80 doesn't get lapped out usually. Like I don't like the whole number thing. So I mainly just want to ride as fast as I can and have a good time doing it. But not getting lapped out would be sick. And then Leger after that would be the next goal. And I did, like my goal there would be to do the same again or, or better if everything came right in like the week leading up to it. Like I did originally want to go to World Champs for cross country, but the National Federation is making it so you have to top 30 in a World Cup, which sounds like a real negative thing, but I just don't see it happening when I'm not chasing any UCI points or, I feel like if I was to top 30 from the back of the field, I should be on a pro team and it should be the full-time job because if you can top 30 from the back, you could probably top 10 if you started at the front. So they've made a really, really hard goal if you actually want to go to World Champs.
Yeah. I have a real problem with those governing bodies, and yeah. So my rant is that they're the ticket holders. Like, so you want to race World Champs, you're a good rider, you're doing it all, you're self-funding it, but they'll just be like, nah, I'm not going to enter you in the race.
Yeah. So
like you can qualify yourself based off of the UCI ranking system, and still they'll be like, nah, like at no cost to them whatsoever, and they'll still say, not this time.
yeah. So I fully understand what you're saying, and like the young Sam was like so gutted when they would just be like, no. But now, I guess I've got this attitude where I don't really care about World Champs. Like,
yeah, because you don't care now. But if you were caring,
yeah, like I remember it happened to me, and I was like really gutted because I was doing well enough. Not just I could see this, like everyone else could see that I was doing well enough to go to World Champs and actually do all right back in the junior category, and got the big fat D9. And the guy that I was competing with, who we were like on par, Richard Anderson, went to World Champs and came 7th. And we'd just raced like 2 weeks before and we're like even. And we were competing for the last spot of 7 of people that we had beaten like the whole series. Anyway, I don't know how the whole selection process worked there. And he went and did the best out of the Kiwis, which was cool to see. But definitely demotivated me to, race well, because you realise that all came down to someone else selecting people, which is pretty much naturally where enduro comes in, where no one gets to select anyone. You actually just collect points, and as soon as you get enough, then you're in. And I find it a really fair system. There's no governing body in New Zealand saying, no, we want medals only. Everyone's just there for a way more of a good time.
Matt.
That's cool. That's cool. That's a lot of information from Sam Shaw. I'm glad he totally opened up.
So what about what are you gonna, people are listening to this, they're generally wanting some advice from, like, you're at the pinnacle of mountain biking, really. Like, you can't go any higher than the series of races you've qualified to race in. Like, what are your recommendations for people? Now, most people aren't elite athletes, they're just not just, but they're trying to just compete at their best, day in and day out. And I think, like, you've touched on a lot of that mental aspect of it. What are your recommendations for people who are challenging their own limits, and about how you're happy to finish 112th?
Well, for people, like, there was two questions there, right? Like, people trying to touch on their own,
I think that was like 17 questions right there.
Yeah, that was a hard one. But
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'd say for the people wanting to increase, their fitness or abilities, usually it just comes, like, you have to be motivated, and the self-motivation comes from actually wanting to do it, which usually comes from, like, actually enjoying it, not just like some fake enjoyment, which you see every now and then. But if you legit enjoy it and you like watch people race and it gets you excited, then I feel like the motivation comes naturally, that you want to race these people and you want to do the proper steps to get to where you want to be. Like, you set a goal and the goal is, like, realistic. Yeah, pretty much all that kind of classic stepping stone stuff that most coaches will inform you of. And then the being happy with where I'm at. I feel like I guess I'm more in touch with my body, and I know where I can race. And I guess where you're expecting to race, and when you beat your expectations, even though it's not other people's expectations, so I kind of ignore, obviously other people are expecting like the top 70 or something better. Where you set your own expectations, and maybe for me it was a little bit low at this one, but I just smashed them, so it just made me super stoked. And if I make it for a race, I'll just be like really stoked. And then you can only go from there. Like, I've set these little stepping stones that I feel like are achievable, and a good way to level myself up for the next ones.
There you have it, from the man himself. Thanks for joining us, Sam. That was actually really awesome. I think people are going to be really interested to hear your story and a bit more about your approach, because you're such a mysterious guy and you do all kinds of mountain biking. And I think this is going to be really, really helpful. I really enjoyed it.
We should, it's not just mountain biking. Like, yeah, he's beaten me in a running race and done some half marathons, and like, this guy, we tested him, like, because he lived with us, so he was a great subject for all our guinea pig for our research. Like, naturally, I don't know if it's naturally or from that massive amounts of endurance training he did as a teenager, has one of the highest VO2 max levels that we've tested, like on par with the professional athletes. Well, you are a professional athlete, but like the legitimate pro tour cyclists, that's the level you're at. So just thought I'd add that in there. But
well, it's good that you did, because that's pretty much that. When you're like, oh yeah, that VO2 was real good, I was like, oh, I should probably race again. So that was actually one of the things that I was like, oh yeah, well, this is really good, so I should probably try and use it, because it'd be a waste not to.
Yeah,
Anyway.
and like it would be, because you have the capability to race World Cup cross country. And as you said, like just to be able to come last, and that is a really, really hard thing to do.
Well, sweet. Yeah, it was a pleasure being on here. It's good chatting to you boys again.
Matt, when we interview people, we should do 3 questions. And I stole one from the Downtime podcast that I listened to, and I'm going to change it a little bit. But here's my question, Matt. You can think of 2 while I'm asking Sam this one, just on the spot. Sam, if you had $500, what would you spend it on? 500 US dollars. Let's just make it generic.
500 US dollars. Well, like just anything, like
Yeah. What would you like? I gave you 500 US dollars and said you have to spend this in the next 24 hours.
I'm really happy with everything at the moment. Like I'd probably do $500 worth of grocery shopping for the season. Like because I just got these sick ass headphones the other day, which is usually where my fun money will go.
How many pairs of headphones do you have?
It's just the thing, you know, like you're like, I don't know if you do know, but like headphones are my jam. Anyway, these are probably the last set I'll buy. But I really need a set of roof racks for my Ford Fiesta that I bought. So I'd probably go into buying the sickest roof rack setup. Sounds boring, but maybe a scooter, like a moped.
Matt, now you're just trying to sound cool. You're going to spend it on groceries.
I got it. I know exactly what I buy. One of those hoverboards. I buy a hoverboard.
He's going to buy all those things.
I wanted the hoverboard so bad last year, but I didn't have 500 US dollars, so that'd probably be it. I bought a remote control car instead. So.
Matt, what are your 2 questions?
I don't have any questions.
I have a question then. Where'd you get that hat? Because it was sick.
Oh, thanks. My brother gave it to me yesterday. So I've been running it ever since.
Legit.
All right, guys, that will do us for the episode 14 of Sam Shaw, the coolest kid on 2 wheels. All the best for the season, Sam. And how can we follow you, and can you thank your sponsors?
Oh yeah. Well, if you want to take me a follow, it's at SemiToeJammy for the Instagram. Also, head over to Ground Effect and click on the link in their blogs, and I do a diary entry after every race for the whatever season I'm in. So either the Kiwi season or the European season, you just keep up to date with what I'm doing. And huge thanks to the support this year from everyone. Transition Bikes and Ground Effect, Wildlands Consultants, Envy, and yeah, cheers.
All right. Catch you later, guys.
Adios.
All right. That was pretty good.